Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. It is a Toxically Masculine Tuesday edition. I'm your host, Mike Magabera, in Las Vegas, Nevada, without fiber optic, which, according to Steve Doran, is shocking. Joined tonight, as I always am on Tuesday nights, especially on this special Thanksgiving Tuesday. First of all, by Dr. Brooks Agnew, the man to my stage left, to my immediate right, wherever the hell you are, Brooks, the man you cannot ride in a car with for 4 hours and not come out smarter. Dr. Brooks Agnew. Brooks, how you doing? Did you get any work done today? And what are you doing for Thanksgiving?
I passed my framing inspection today on the main house. That's good. I'm drinking coffee, and I'm going to overeat for Thanksgiving.
You're going to overeat for Thanksgiving. That's awesome. And, of course, immediately below him is somewhere on a ranch in Arkansas that you better not trespass on, or you will get it won't be fun. Steve Doran, the trail boss, somewhere deep. Is there a skunk ape? Arkansas has the skunk ape, right?
We have Bigfoot.
You just have Bigfoot.
There's actually been several sightings here around the ranch, no joke, in recent months. And then we have the blue men who supposedly live in a cave, and they come out, they're like 7 feet tall and they're blue.
Yeah. Wow.
But, I've never seen either one of them. As I said, across the hood of my truck, driving straight to town to be on the national news for what I found.
Well, see, now I was watching some Bigfoot videos this weekend, and they're not going to come around you because they know you'll shoot them. And apparently the Bigfoots are from another planet, with the Wookiees, where they hang out, and they just like to come to Earth for a vacation because it's just a fun vacation spot.
So they look just like dog then.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Because that's what.
So Steve, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? What's the plans? You gonna stay on the ranch and cook, or what's up?
We're gonna stay on the ranch. We've got the outdoor kitchen going. It's gonna be up and running. Everything's gonna be made outside. And then we've got friends and neighbors coming in to eat. And
excellent.
Then I will be departing and headed toward Texas on Saturday.
Awesome. So are the kids coming to visit you? Everybody, the kids. Cool. Of course, and the man immediately below me, the intrepid reporter, TV's Blake Wally. Blake, how you doing? What are you drinking? And how are you spending your Thanksgiving? And are the kids coming over?
No kids that I'm aware of, and no, it's great to be here. I will be drinking a little Maker's Mark.
Nice.
It's gonna be low key Thanksgiving for me. I just moved in here to Nashville, so I want to be cooking at home and watching football, but no family stuff this year.
He's only a few hours away from me. He should have just came here.
You should have just come there next year.
He should have just came here, and we'd have made him sleep out on the ground in a cowboy bedroll and beat off rattlesnakes and be a real cowboy for 2 days.
Yeah, and be worried about the blue people and the Bigfoots that are going to come and abduct him and take him away.
Well, that's what I was going to use. That's so good looking. I figured I'd use him for bait with the female Bigfoot, and then I can get one.
There you go. All right.
There you go. I'm going. Dave and I are going to our friend Jim and Regina's house for the second year in a row. They are great. Regina's a wonderful cook. And then on Friday, I'm cooking a second Thanksgiving. So remember, in Lord of the Rings, they had second breakfast. Well, we have second Thanksgiving because I have to do the traditional Bera family stuff, which I'm a keeper of that. I'm a keeper of that tradition and know how to cook everything.
Is your sister coming in, or just you and Dave?
No, it's just going to be me and Dave and Jim and Regina, and we're going to watch football all day long. And then Friday, we're doing it all over again. So that's
what we're same 4 people?
No, just me and Dave.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and so forth. I hope everybody out there has a great Thanksgiving. It's a little bit slow news-wise, I would say, to a certain extent, compared to some of the weeks we've had recently. So I think we're going to have a relatively short show tonight, but there are some things to talk about that are happening. Just small things. World War III, lawfare against the president. Not really much going on, but let's go ahead and get into it and talk about the news and what's really going on. And where I think we're going to start is that fake fraud faux prosecutor Jack Smith was forced to drop his prosecution of Donald Trump today, a day or two before Thanksgiving. So he submitted basically a dismissal of charges to the judge who is in charge of him, who's also illegal. But let's there's been some interesting reaction to this. Let's take a look and a listen as to some of the reaction.
I think it is a shame for justice in this country. It establishes that Donald Trump is above the law. The Supreme Court put him above the law in that opinion that Paula just mentioned. But now he appears to escape full accountability for what were crimes charged by a grand jury. And I would
what happened?
just add one other thing that we ought to pay close attention to. We cannot normalize the fact that Donald Trump, as the president-elect, should not be held accountable for crimes that he committed before. I think it is a shame for justice in this country.
These fucking douchebags. I swear to God, I want to skin them alive. Here's Jack Smith. First of all, we'll talk about who Jack Smith is in a minute, but he put it on here based on the department's interpretation of the Constitution. The government moves for dismissal without prejudice of the superseding indictment. Basically, guys, and you don't have to agree with me on the skinning them alive thing. That'll just be me. Basically, a dismissal without prejudice, which was granted, means they can bring the charges back up again when he's not president anymore. Because the whole basis for this was, well, basically, the Supreme Court has ruled that he's immune from prosecution for things he did in his official capacity as president. But they're still trying to criminalize what he did in his official capacity as president. And a grand jury of tremendous integrity indicted Trump. A dirty fucking corrupt grand jury with a dirty fucking corrupt prosecutor who was illegally appointed in the first place. Fuck these people. Fuck them all. Fuck their own face. I seriously hope Trump puts every single fucking one of them in jail forever. And actually, I wish it was a lot worse than that.
First of all, you do not need a corrupt grand jury. You can indict. The grand jury system allows prosecutors to indict a bologna sandwich if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
If you understand the system, the person being accused is not allowed to be there. He has no representation there. It's a total one-way street where the prosecutor presents his evidence, puts his twist on everything with nobody there to object. So 99.9% of the time, unless the jury is highly intelligent or they have someone like Brooks Agnew on there who explains to them what's going on, they will move forward with an indictment. And it happens all the time. And people who should never be indicted, never go to court, never go to jail, are indicted all the time because that particular system is so corrupt. I mean, you're supposed to be able to face your accusers. You would think that you would be able to sit in while the prosecutor spins his yarn to the grand jury and make objections and put in, and respond to the things he's saying. But that's not the way it works.
Yeah, the grand jury system is basically just designed to cover for corrupt prosecutors who are illegally prosecuting their enemies, whether they're political enemies or business enemies or whatever. It's a completely corrupt system. Blake, what are your thoughts on this dismissal? And give me your thoughts first, and I'll ask you another question.
Yeah, I guess it's to be expected because they didn't really have much of a case to begin with. So it was only effective while he was not as president or coming in. Jack Smith, though, they were tampering with evidence. They weaponized lawfare, election interference. He was never appointed properly in the first place. They keep throwing out that grand jury as though it has legitimacy. And as Steve has pointed out, or that quote that we've known for a long time, they can indict a ham sandwich or whatever. They keep saying that's legitimate. It's not anything but. So, it's time to turn the tables on them. And, they should face the music for what they tried to do to him. Because if they had their way, he'd be in jail and they'd be coming after all of us.
Yeah. Should Trump, here's the question for you, and I'll start with you and then we'll go to Brooks. Should Trump you know, his new head of the Department of Justice, the new Attorney General, whether it's Pam Bondi or somebody else, should they turn around and prosecute Jack Smith and on the entire January 6th committee for the lies that they told that ended up with in these charges, and actually flip the tables on them? Or, well, I'll ask Brooks that other question. But what do you think? Should they go ahead and use the same powers that were used against them on these fucking Democrats to put them behind bars?
Yeah, I think they should do it in a clean justice way, in a common law, common sense, not as a weaponized lawfare, but, you know, I don't want to say retaliation, but they should absolutely do that, because what they did was awful. That was inexplicable. They were, you know, using the Justice Department just politically to destroy their opposition. That can't happen. So they should be absolutely facing something for that, and that's they did it to themselves.
Brooks, should that be the plan, or should Trump simply eliminate the Department of Justice and just have the Attorney General file whatever charges he wants to file without any DOJ? Just get rid of it all.
Well, that's a possibility, because it's always been customary that once there's this transfer of power, that the new power doesn't go back and take retribution against the old power. But I think that custom should end, because I think the January 6th commission put a lot of people in jail, killed people, caused them to commit suicide. And when you see that kind of tyranny, action must be taken. Now, I don't know if it's the Department of Justice that should take that action or what. What we're really sick and tired of as the American people is we're tired of hearings. We're tired of investigations. We're tired of Jim Jordan. We're tired of bark, 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 bark from all these committees that don't do anything, don't mean anything, have no power. They're not doing their jobs. We're sick and tired of all that. We want to see that come to an end. And the easiest way to do that, you can't just go prosecute everybody. You waste your 2 years dancing in court with high-powered attorneys. Just cut off the money. If you just defund the entire thing, it goes away. It can't be self-sustaining. No one's going to pay for it.
Oh, really? Because I thought you were going to say firing squad. That's what I would do, is just firing squad them all. But
they'll kill themselves. These people, the biggest fear these people have is poverty. That's their biggest fear. So put them in it.
Okay. Speaking of things that happened and didn't happen on January 6th, which is primarily what this was all about, and the classified documents case also, in a way, you know, the one where Ron DeSantis sat on his hands while the DOJ came in and raided the First Lady's panty drawer, literally. This is the guy. This is the Michael Byrd, the only guy who actually committed murder on January 6th. Let's watch this again. Here he is. There's a girl trying to get through a door, harmless, unarmed, and he shoots her dead. Ashley Babbitt shoots her dead in the neck. And please don't give me this horse shit about, oh, she's not really dead, blah, blah, blah. Shot her in the neck. Now, I got to ask you guys, I'm, you know, there are people saying, oh, this has all got to end. It can't be tit for tat. Yes, it can. Steve, shouldn't this motherfucker be executed for what he did? He committed cold-blooded murder completely unnecessarily for a woman who was trespassing, supposedly. And I'd like to know, how the fuck can you trespass in the people's house that they own, which is the capital of the United States? Explain that one to me, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, first of all, I mean, watching the video makes it clear that he used excessive force. You're only allowed to use the force necessary to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. Stop someone from entering a building, make an arrest, et cetera, et cetera. Defend yourself. He definitely went way beyond that. He murdered that woman, and he needs to be tried for murder. If it's one of the things that needs to come out of this when Trump gets back into the office, they cannot let that individual go. I don't want to see him fired. I don't want to see him get a permanent memo to his file. I want to see that guy prosecuted for murder.
Yeah. I agree with that. Brooks, what do you think should happen to Michael Byrd? His murder.
He laid in wait for her. He ambushed her. He planned to kill somebody that day. It was premeditated. It didn't matter if it was Ashley Babbitt or somebody else. He wanted to kill somebody that day, and he has a long record of excessive violence.
And you saw real quick, and you saw that there was another officer standing there with an AR who was totally shocked because, you know, he could have intervened at any time in the situation. There was no need for any shot to be fired. In fact, he could have killed his own officer. The way that he just fired, the way that he fired the weapon in that direction.
He was ready to shoot back. That cop was ready to shoot back.
Because his job, and he had multiple contacts with Nancy Pelosi that day, his job was to kill somebody so that they had murder so they could accuse Trump of being responsible for her murder. That was the plan all along. Blake, what should happen to this piece of shit, Michael Byrd, in your opinion? Or just tell me anything you feel about the situation.
No, it's horrible and it's inexcusable for what he did. There was no threat there. And there was cops on the other side. It was an unarmed woman. As Steve says, excessive force. I don't know if that's manslaughter or whatever, but he has to be on trial. And as Brooks has said, he's got a terrible record as well. But that was inconvenient to their narrative, so they tried to sweep that under the rug and act like it was okay or it was a justified shooting. It certainly was not. So we have to reevaluate the narrative of J6. And Michael Byrd should absolutely face penalty. He should be probably in jail. I don't know what kind of sentence they give out, but that has to be scrutinized by the American people. And
well, I mean, firing squad, but 20 years to life sounds like the minimum that would be acceptable in this situation. Okay, so again, yeah, you guys made the point. If it wasn't for Trump winning the election, this would not have happened, and we would be ready to have a revolution and a civil war in our country. And Matt Gaetz, of all people, came out and talked about that today. Let's listen to what Matt had to say.
Congrats to President Trump for being 100% not guilty, but I want all Americans to remember this. If we had somehow not prevailed in this election, Jack Smith would not be dismissing these charges. He would be proceeding to trial. And though this monumental victory was won for all Americans led by President Trump, we have to remember, just like we came within fractions of fractions from civil war when President Trump survived an assassination attempt, we also were just fractions away from these people trying to throw Donald Trump in prison. So while all of us are grateful for this victory, for Trump, it was victory or prison, because he wasn't going to get a fair trial. It was going to be some knockdown, drag-out deal with a predetermined outcome. So enjoy the victory, President Trump, but the rest of us have to do all we can to ensure that no one is ever put in this type of a situation again, and we make America great again.
Well,
congrats to President Trump for being.
Honestly, guys, the only way I can think of to do that is to get all the Democrats out of the country and start living under the Constitution the way we're supposed to. And Brooks, am I wrong?
Well, like I said, you don't have to do that. All you have to do is cut off the money, which is what they're planning on doing. They're going to go after, DOJ is going to start going after these NGOs and these agencies and start cutting the money. 23.4% of all the tax revenue taken in goes right back out the door to federal employees who do nothing. They produce nothing for us. They just drain the entire country of its assets. They want to cut it to about 10% of the budget. That means that a lot of federal employees are going to get their walking papers. When that happens, the Democrat machine dries up, it shrivels up because it lives on other people's money. For instance, Planned Parenthood gets $573 million a year, and they turn right around and write a check for $55 million to the Democrat Party, which they use to elect down ballot candidates all over the country in your city, state, and local elections. When that money dries up, the candidates dry up. All you have to do is cut off the cash, and the Democrat Party goes away.
That's okay, that's one solution, but it's not justice. I mean, Steve, what do you think is justice for these people that tried to steal our country? I mean, they came very close, and they're not done. They're still fighting. So, I mean, what do you think?
You have to fight fire with fire, and I agree. I agree with Brooks that you need to cut the funding so they don't have the assets
Resources, yeah,
and the resources to come back and come after us. But the reality is, when you commit those types of heinous crimes against the American people, when you are a traitor to your country, there's only one solution, and that is death by hanging.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there,
I mean,
Blake.
You cannot. It's like, you see these people. I can give you for instances all day long. Like some lady who works in an elementary school, and she brings in her own Windex because it cleans the windows better than the stuff they have at the school. And some asshat federal agent goes in there, and because it doesn't say for industrial use, puts her in prison for 10 or 15 years, totally destroys her life. That guy needs to receive the same punishment that he doled out to that individual. These people, cannot just be fired and slapped on the wrist and go away, because eventually they will be able to return. We have to do something to them that they will never, ever again be able to work for the federal government or come back and do anything against the
Yes, permanently solve the problem. Blake, I realize this is pretty harsh and you're a pretty moderate guy, but any thoughts about any of this stuff that's been said tonight?
I mean, I'm not in favor of necessarily torturing these people or anything. I think, I'd like to put them on their own reality show, and I'd like them, to face the music one way or another. They should be having all their ill-gotten gains taken away. The Pelosi, they need to turn this whole, the J6 committee, all of those people that weaponize the system. They knew if they're found guilty of treason, then they have to face the death penalty or what have you. But yes, they absolutely have to do something drastic because of what they were going to try to get away with, and they have to set up.
And if there isn't,
prison is a minimum. Prison is a minimum. They have to have a record that they can never again serve in any type of office, hold any type of public position. More than just being fired. Power. They have to be
any power. Yeah. There needs to be a policy of swift and effective retribution, as Ronald Reagan said, and that's the policy. And there have to be a number of people made examples of, and Jack Smith would be a good place to start, and George Soros and Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff and the entire January 6th committee. And let's just stage some more Nuremberg trials. All right. On the World War III front, Vladimir Putin flexed his muscles a little bit this week. On Friday, he sent some what appear to be hypersonic missiles without, or some people say ICBMs, but without nuclear payloads to strike a NATO base, I believe. Here's some video. Boom, 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 boom.
What do you see missing from that video?
Explosions. So it appears to me that they didn't have warheads on them. They just used the kinetic energy of the missiles themselves to create whatever damage they created. Right. So I guess we'll start with you there again, Blake, or Brooks rather. What can you tell us about this? And then we'll go on to the political response that NATO is engaging in.
Okay, there's a couple things about this Hazel rocket. First, it's a solid booster, so that's kind of odd. Usually they're liquid propelled, but the Russians managed to develop variable speed solid propellant. So this missile changes speeds while it's flying. That makes it impossible to target once it's in the air. The MIRVs, which are the maneuverable individual units that come out of the warhead, come out of the main head, these were heavy metal, probably tungsten, and they accelerate going down. So they reach very high speeds of about 10,000 miles an hour, and they're extremely accurate. I mean, you can drive a nail with one of these MIRVs. When they strike at that speed with that kind of mass, it's like a meteorite. and the shockwave pulverizes everything for about a football field in every direction and about 1,000 feet deep. When they got finished blowing up this facility that made these missiles, it was annihilated. There was nothing but dust and no collateral damage, no radiation, no nothing. This weapon was so precise and so powerful and so unstoppable that it's actually better than a nuclear weapon.
So having done that, Putin then basically said, if you put long-range missiles into Ukraine or launch them against Russia, we will consider it an act of war by NATO and all the NATO allies, which, by the way, includes the United States. So what did they do immediately thereafter? Well, guess what? Let's go to Justin Trudeau and see what Justin had to say. This is a Twitter feed called Justin Trudeau's Ego, and it says, today I encourage NATO and Ukraine to start World War III. Putin said the long-range missiles be considered an act of war by the West, but I don't care. My poll numbers are so bad I like a world war to distract from it. But the reality is that they moved missiles into Ukraine, or at least gave the authorization. And doesn't this imply, great picture of Kamala Harris there, doesn't this imply, guys, that they are trying to escalate into World War III? Brooks?
Well, let's get one thing clear. The Ukrainians did not launch these missiles. These are highly top secret. These ATACMS require constant updates while they're flying, satellite link-ups, special top security codes to guide and to launch they're not going to entrust Ukrainians with these. U.S. soldiers launched these missiles from inside Ukraine, which is exactly what Putin did not want to have happen. He does not want NATO countries to be in Ukraine launching missiles against Russia. And so he published a list of 73 targets, and he could hit any one of them in less than 3 minutes.
Well, okay, gentlemen, there appears to be a new escalation. This is breaking news from CNN from 14 minutes ago.
Oh, boy.
Officials say were a record number of drone attacks. Russia says Ukraine recently carried out 2 more strikes on Russian soil using those longer-range U.S.-supplied missiles Kyiv hopes can now give it an edge in the war. Arfet Plykin has more from Moscow.
Moscow for the first time acknowledging the effectiveness of Ukraine's use of U.S.-supplied missiles to hit targets inside Russia. Admitting ATACMS struck a radar and an airfield, showing photos of fragments they claim come from the American rockets.
That's S-400.
Kremlin-controlled TV ripping into U.S. and British officials lobbying to give Ukraine more firepower. These same people are then sincerely outraged that Putin is preparing to strike an American air defense base in Poland, and not only there, the host says.
The Kremlin says it's trying to send a very clear message to the West. If the U.S. and its allies continue to give Ukraine longer-distance weapons and allow Kiev to fire those weapons deep inside Russian territory, the West is playing with fire.
And that message is playing on repeat across Russia since Vladimir Putin ordered a strike against Ukraine with a new type of intermediate-range ballistic missile called Oreshnik. State TV showing behind-the-scenes footage of Putin after a televised statement announcing the launch last week. The Russian leader saying, "I think it's clear and understandable enough." And if it wasn't clear enough, a Russian lawmaker showed up to parliament in a Putin t-shirt and the Oreshnik missile launching. Oreshnik is the Russian word for hazelnut tree. The writing on the shirt means tough nut. Perhaps after Oreshnik was put to work, they scratched their heads and understood that they need to listen and hear what our president says, the lawmaker says. He never throws words into the wind, he warns. With Ukraine's army on the back foot, struggling against overpowering Russian forces on several fronts, Moscow accuses the Biden administration of escalating the conflict in the final days before Donald Trump takes over. The countries of the Western Bloc are suffering a fiasco in the conflict in Ukraine, but at the same time, we believe they won't calm down, Russia's foreign spy chief says. They'll act as usual and will try to create chaos on the territories of our allied states and chaos in the Russian Federation. And U.S. missiles fired at Russia, the Kremlin says, will make it harder for the incoming Trump administration to end the Ukraine war.
And John, of course, President-elect Trump and some of his cabinet picks have said that they want to try and end the Ukraine war as fast as possible. However, today, a senior aide to Russian President Vladimir Putin came out and said, to his knowledge so far, there have been no contacts between Russia and the Trump team. John?
All right, Fred Plekan, thank you.
You know what cracks me up about this, gentlemen, is they talk about state-controlled TV as if CNN is not state-controlled TV in America, and MSNBC and CBS and ABC and NBC and CBS, and oh good God, and NPR. What a fucking joke. All right, Blake, I'm curious, why do you think Trump hasn't said anything about this? Any thoughts? Any guesses?
From what I heard, I thought he had been in discussions. Not that I can verify that at all, but that seemed to be the way things were leaning towards. There was going to be peace in the Middle East and peace with Ukraine and Russia, and now there seem to be ramping things up. Whoever's running things in the White House, it seems that they want to try to. That's their last desperate grab at staying in power if they can kick off a World War III, but they might be overmatched, which they should have found out now with this new weaponry that Russia just displayed for the world. And he warned us, just stay out of this. It's not our business. And we're launching missiles in there. And then he let us know, so not even nuclear weapons. These are something new entirely. They don't violate any laws of the Geneva Convention. And as Brooks is saying, there's no, nuclear, there's no radiation, there's no nothing like that. And there's no defending it. And it's a big contrast between what we saw with like the Iranian strikes at Israel, and they volleyed up all these missiles. It looks like hot air balloons just sitting in the air. These things are just piling down, hypersonic speed. This is a reason for pause for everybody, that we should not be messing anymore with Putin. And he's going to retaliate probably to anywhere in the world. He's got us outmatched. Let's hope he stays restrained. And I think that's about all I have on that one. Is a purely defensive attack that should never have happened. Just
Steve, Steve, they used to convince us that Russia was the enemy. I'm now firmly convinced that our enemy is not in Russia. It's in Washington, D.C., and it's been running the show there for the last 50-odd years. Is Putin doing anything that you wouldn't do if somebody was attacking Arkansas in the same way?
Well, I mean, he has a right to defend his country. And so if he's being attacked, he has a right to defend. He has a right to defend himself and his people. Back during the Cold War, when I first was in the military, everybody was screaming about the possibility of a nuclear engagement. That was never even thought of as being a problem. The big problem was espionage, because nobody wants nuclear war. Russia does not want to come against the United States. The United States used to not want to go against Russia. But the new powers that be are so arrogant and so cocky, they think that they can, bully and abuse anybody they want to into getting whatever they want. And one of the things that they want is control of Russia's natural resources and their oil. So again, it's a dollars and cents thing. One of the reasons that that Putin said that he was going to go after a base in Poland is because Poland is probably one of the only countries who is using any common sense whatsoever. They're not going for the woke agenda. They're not allowing refugees into their country. They're working to make their country a better place for their citizens. So I think what he's hoping is that Poland will get on the horn with the United States and go, look, if you want us as an enemy, then keep it up, because we didn't put up with your woke bullshit. We didn't put up with your refugees. We're damn sure not putting up with this, where you've got Russia attacking us and we've done nothing.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. Blake or Brooks, any thoughts on this? Brooks, any thoughts you'd like to add?
Yeah, everybody thinks the conversations should be between Trump and Putin. That's not true. The main conversation took place at Mar-a-Lago with the head of NATO and Trump. I would love to have been a fly on the wall, but here's kind of what it went like. Trump said, you better back off of Russia or we're going to pull the funding from NATO. And when we do, you will collapse. You will collapse. This pan-European army that has conquered 63 sovereign countries, going through murdering presidents, color revolutions, blackmail, litigious and economic terrorism on all these countries, the latest of which is Ukraine. Ukraine is unique in the sense that they have been piling cash in that country for decades, enough to make all of the world's most wicked men richer than kings. And they don't want that gravy train to come to an end. NATO wants in Ukraine in the worst way, so they can sit there and push buttons and attack Russia all day long. Putin has said, nope, it's not going to happen. So if Trump cuts off the funding to NATO, this war ends in less than 1 hour.
It's fascinating that you went in that direction, because you didn't know what I was going to bring up next, which is, Steve, you cold? You okay? You look a little chilly there. You okay?
It is a little chilly. It's about 30 degrees outside, but I've got my fire. I've got my blanket coat that was made for me by a guy by the name of Ron Hood, who was probably one of the most well-known survivalists in the world.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, this was all brought up a couple months ago by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's now going to be part of the Trump administration. Let's watch how Bobby Kennedy Jr. Views the war in the Ukraine. It's pretty interesting stuff for us to discuss. It's academic, but let's discuss it anyway.
This is a war that should have never happened. It's a war the Russians tried repeatedly to settle on terms that were very, very beneficial to Ukraine and us. The major thing they wanted was for us to keep NATO out of the Ukraine. The big military contractors want to add new countries to NATO all the time. Why? Because then that country has to conform its military purchases to NATO weapon specifications, which means certain companies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing, and Lockheed, get a trapped market. In March of 2022, we committed $113 billion. Just to give you an example, we could have built a home for almost every homeless person in this country. We then committed another $24 billion since then, 2 months ago, and now President Biden's asking for another $60 billion. But the big expenses are going to come after the war, when we have to rebuild all the things that we destroyed. Mitch McConnell was asked, can we really afford to spend $113 billion to Ukraine? He said, don't worry. It's not really going to Ukraine.
It's going to American defense manufacturers.
So he just admitted it's a money laundering scheme. And who do you think owns every one of those companies? BlackRock. So Tim Scott, during the Republican debate, said, don't worry, it's not a gift to Ukraine, it's a loan. So raise your hand if you think that loan's ever getting paid back. Yeah, of course it's not. So why do they call it a loan? Because if they call it a loan, they can impose loan conditions. And what are the loan conditions that we impose on? Number one, an extreme austerity program, so that if you're poor in Ukraine, you're going to be poor forever. Number two, most important, Ukraine has to put all of its government-owned assets up for sale to multinational corporations, including all of its agricultural land, the biggest single asset in Europe. In Ukraine, there's been 1,000 years of war fought over that land. It's the richest farmland in the world. It's the breadbasket of Europe. 500,000 kids almost, Ukrainians, have died to keep that land as part of Ukraine. They almost certainly didn't know about this loan condition. They've already sold 30% of it. The buyers were DuPont, Cargill, and Monsanto. Who do you think owns all of those companies? Yeah, BlackRock. And then in December, President Biden gave out the contract to rebuild Ukraine. And who do you think got that contract? BlackRock. So they're doing this right in front of us. They don't even care that we know anymore, because they know that they can get away with it. And how do they know that? Because they have a strategy. And that strategy is an old strategy, which is they keep us at war with each other. They keep us hating on each other. They keep the Republicans and Democrats fighting each other, black against white, and all these divisions that they sow.
Okay, that's true, and it's interesting because now it's being fought here, Steve, in your own state of Arkansas. Sarah Huckabee Sanders filed a law. Arkansas is the only law in the country that successfully kicked a communist Chinese company off our farmland, and a judge just blocked it. Our foreign adversaries have no right to American land. We will appeal this ruling and protect our state. And again, it should not be up to these judges, but this is an example, Steve, of that they're trying to do the same thing here. They basically are trying to get a hold of all the land. That's why there's been no help for anybody in North Carolina, because they want to seize all the land that has all the lithium and gypsum and quartz and all the other stuff that's in North Carolina that's so valuable. So I'm going to start with you, Stephen. How do we fight this? How do we end these people's control and manipulation of us that we've all been subject to most of our lives? I mean, you were in the military. I'm sure they taught you the Russians are the bad guys, when I think the bad guys were always the corporations putting you guys to war, putting you out there to fight for no reason other than money.
Well, again, you know, when I was in the middle of it and I was doing my duty for my country, you know, I really thought that I was fighting against evil. And the longer that I was involved in that fight, and the longer I participated, you know, I realized that it was all about the money. All you had to do was follow the money trail, and that's where the evil was, whether it was in the United States or outside the United States. I think it is a crime that that we allow foreign countries to buy our nation's property than our sovereign nation, and more, they're allowing them to buy property that is adjacent to secret military installations. So why do you think they're doing that? I mean, you know, I'll give you 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count. So we have to, you know, come to our senses in this country, not allow those people to purchase property, not allow them to use American agents to purchase those properties for their use. You know, we've got Saudi Arabia that owns property in Arizona, and they are pumping literally the water dry to produce alfalfa for their camels in Saudi Arabia. That kind of nonsense has to stop. They have to hold these, and they're not even holding them accountable. If that were you or I doing that, pumping water, wasting water like that, we'd go to prison. But because it's a foreign country, it's its own, they don't.
They're bribing all the local officials and the federal officials so that they don't. Right. Right.
So we have to change the laws in this country that don't allow foreign nationals, foreign governments, or their agents to purchase land.
But then if we did that, how would Mitch McConnell get money? How would he get all that? How would he have enough money to ship all that cocaine from Colombia in the boat that he owns?
Probably the pedophile ring that he runs.
Yeah. And it's even worse. They'll traffic in anything. Blake or Brooks, any thoughts on this particular subject?
Well, that's it. That's just the deep fascism that operates inside of our country. These corporations make rules and regulations that benefit their business and prevent anyone from not only exposing them, but competing against them. So, you know, BlackRock is the headwaters of all of that strategy. But where does BlackRock actually get its money? From us. It gets it from our pensions, from our 401ks. BlackRock has all of that wealth, about $36 trillion worth of wealth that we gave them because they manage all of our pension funds.
Yep. Blake, any thoughts on your part or not really on this one?
Yeah, I know. I've got a few. I mean, it seems like they've been running this sort of playbook for a long time. It's the dangers of the military-industrial complex, and it also kind of reminds me of a little back in the past. Is the book author John Perkins, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. It's the kind of strategy they would play in South America by exploiting the people and the resources. So they're going to help these people, or they take out their leaders, they get them to play ball. We can go into, Halliburton. They need to, break up BlackRock and defund the MIC because it's getting out of control and it's only serving this elitist ruling class and it's hurting everybody else. So,
yeah,
bad stuff.
All right. Well, we've seen again a bunch of Senate seats stolen in elections, some House seats stolen over the last couple of weeks. They finally, 2.5, 3 weeks later, have finally finished counting votes in like Arizona. And I don't know, maybe Trump was waiting until the vote count was done and certified before he starts going after these people. I don't know, but we're not doing much of anything about it. But for the last 2 weeks, Kamala Harris has been hiding somewhere in Hawaii. Why Hawaii? Well, Hawaii has the sovereign kingdom of Hawaii, which is where Barack Obama is going to flee to. But today she came out of hiding, and oh man, has this bitch been on a bender for the last 2 weeks? Get this shit out!
Oh, wow!
I just have to remind you. Don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire.
I think she's drunk
So
right now.
don't ever let anybody or
I'm
any
surprised you
circumstance
go
take your power from
engage
you.
and inspire.
I just have to remind you.
And oh my God, that
Ever let
neck!
anybody take
Jesus
your power
Christ!
from you.
Talk about aging.
You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power.
She's
from
actually
you.
a better speaker when she's drunk.
Yeah, she does. She does speak better when she's drunk. It's like I remember
a whole bunch of words together, like in a sentence. And shit.
Yeah, I got into an argument with a Fox News reporter named Lori Dew, an ex-Fox News reporter, on Twitter one time, and she was coming out against the Second Amendment and seizing all the guns, and I'm like, you made more sense when you drank, Lori, and she said, fuck you, and I said, maybe when you were younger. Anyway, this does not apply to Kamala Harris. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, she's aged 20 years in 2 weeks. Anybody here tap that? Yeah, no, not me.
Yeah, no, she looks horrible. They've already memed that video there with she's got a bottle of Hennessy. It's like some drunk parent giving her kid like life advice.
Yeah,
totally drunk. I don't know why somebody didn't stop her from putting that out there. Yeah, I don't think she realizes just how terrible she looks. Or maybe they wanted to go out. Who knows? But she's gone.
Yeah.
$20 million in debt.
Like, don't ever let anybody steal your power. How dare you say that she shouldn't have came out, that they shouldn't have let her come out and tell the people what they need to do over the next 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, here's a good one. Let me share.
We don't have the money right now to bail you out. She should have added that.
Let me here is a good one. Let me reshare this one.
Hold on. Oh, damn, that's some good shit. Hold on. Oh, damn, that's some good shit.
Okay, so there's that one, and it's like, yeah, where's the Hennessy bottle one? I don't know. But oh my God. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Anybody take your.
Here.
Don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. Don't you ever let anybody take your power from you.
Thank you, Kamala. Thank you for that, Kamala.
Blake, got to take that to heart, Blakey. Got to take it to heart.
Yeah,
Matt Gaetz
my
looks better in
drunk
a
aunt
t-shirt.
at graduation or something. Yeah, giving me life advice going after high school.
There you go.
All right, let me go through my likes again and see if there's anything else I wanted to add to tonight's show. No, I guess not really. Anybody else have any thoughts? Any final thoughts? I mean, this is a Thanksgiving show, pre-Thanksgiving show. I think we'll cut it off early so Steve can go get warm. Anybody have any other issues that are on the table? Blake, any thoughts or issues that you think need to be addressed or should be addressed sometime in the next week?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a slow just for the holiday week. I mean, obviously, World War III is a major issue. Outside of that, I guess we're still kind of waiting on the FBI pick. We're hoping maybe Kash Patel or something exciting. Other than that, I think we're just going to try to lay low for the holidays, and then we'll kick things up in December, going into January, and see if this is going to be a peaceful transition or not. But it sounds like they're going to try to pull something, I'm sure.
Yeah, Biden promises peaceful transition to Adolf Hitler into power. That's the thing, is because Trump already bailed on Matt Gaetz. I think that the Democrats are going to be, and they're going to be empowered. They're going to feel like they should go after different appointments, like Kash Patel. Brooks, what do you think? I think they've been emboldened by this weakness on Trump's part.
Yeah, they have, and also they've had a couple of victories. The Matt Gaetz thing, although I think that may have been a feint within a feint. Rubio out, maybe Gaetz in, Queen to Knight 7. I mean,
but you're trusting Ron DeSantis, who stabbed Trump in the back after Trump saved his governorship, to appoint Matt Gaetz to the Senate. I don't see that happening, Brooks.
Well, we'll see. I hope that Matt keeps his shit together and doesn't go off the deep end here. He's kind of enjoying not being on the House floor. But the other thing to pay attention to, a lot of people missed it. Janet Yellen is stepping down.
Yeah.
This means that the grip on the Fed is loosening, and this plan of Trump's to merge the Fed with the U.S. Treasury and turn the responsibility for minting our own money back over to Congress. This fits together with Doge quite nicely, because if they can cut our overhead and increase our revenue with tariffs, there's a good chance he can pay the debt off at a discount. And that's good for everybody.
Oh, it's interesting you brought that up, because I was going to go there last. But Steve, I think that this particular bit of weakness, I mean, again, I don't trust any of these rhinos. I trust them less. At least the Democrats tell you they're going to stab you in the back, tell you they're going to stab you in the chest. Republicans always do it in the back. I don't know. I'm thinking that over the next couple days that they've got to try to pull something to get us into World War III, don't they? Or they're going to lose all the control that they have left.
Well, I don't know if they're going to go that far. But first of all, I am not cold. And after the show ends, I will be out here next to my campfire, even though the show is off the air. But that being said, the Democrats do what the Democrats always do. When we get a Democrat in power who totally abuses the Constitution, who totally tries to destroy this country, what do the Republicans do? They remain silent. They keep their mouth shut. They do nothing with a capital N. And the rhinos are then comfortable to side with the Democratic Party. When the Democrats lose, what they do is they cause as much trouble as they possibly can on a minute-by-minute basis to totally terrorize the people who are in power and the Republican leadership. Nothing's changed. They're doing exactly what they always do. And see, the difference is the Democrats stick together. They stick together. They hold the line, and they go after whatever Republican is in the position of power.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about that. And that's because the Republicans are actually on the Democrat side most of the time anyway. It's the uniparty, it's one party, and they're just pretending that there's two different sides, just like RFK said. Okay, one last thing I wanted to bring up, gentlemen, is there's movement in the financial markets. The cryptocurrency prices have been really interesting lately. This week, if, like me, you own XRP and XLM, you're seeing XRP, it's up to about 138. I think it got to a high of 154. It's down a little bit now, but it's been about a 25% increase. That's over the last 7 days. But in the last couple of weeks, and also XLM, Stellar Lumens, is up 83%. It's to 43 cents. Dogecoin is going up. Bitcoin has gone up to 100,000 and then stepped back. But gentlemen, you know, what's happened is we've reached a new plateau here. And Trump, there's been this discussion out in the open that what Trump might do, since apparently we've now got the power to pay off federal debts. They can be paid, government bills can be paid off with cryptocurrencies. And I don't think it's just Bitcoin. There appears to be a plan to link these currencies together. First, what I hear is this. First, XLM and XRP get even, and they're very important to the digital transfer of funds in a BRICS type situation. When money moves around, that's how you will move it, is through those two coins. And then they're going to get up to the Bitcoin level, and then they're going to buy everybody out that has them, ban the cryptocurrencies, and then use them, revalue them to pay off the national debt. Brooks, you probably heard about this scenario. I don't know, you know, is it plausible? I say yes, it is, and it looks like it's starting to happen.
Yeah, because you know, today's money is always more valuable than tomorrow's money. In other words, if somebody owes you $100 and they promise to pay you $10 a week for 10 weeks, you're never going to see that money. I mean, you just won't feel it. But if they say, look, I know I owe you $100, but I'll pay you 60 right now and call it even. You could do something with $60, but you can't do anything with 10. So that's what's going to happen. Trump is going to discount this debt, and he's going to pay off the Fed, which owns most of the debt, at a discount. And that is going to free up everything. Tariffs is going to make up the difference. He's going to lower income tax, and the economy is going to take off like a scalded rat.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to tell you that they could literally mint a single 1 ounce 0.9999 pure gold or silver coin in the denomination of $36 trillion and pay off the entire debt with that. But they aren't going to do that. You know why they're not going to do that? Because that would expose the whole scam. That would expose the whole birth certificate scam. That would expose the fact that each one of you out there is worth at least $100 billion spread out over 10 different Federal Reserve accounts, and they aren't going to go there. Or they could mint one Y-Files Hecklefish coin in the amount of $30. And it would also pay off the national debt. But notice it's number 33 out of 100 there. I like that. Anyway, so Brooks, I guess I didn't really get an answer. Do you feel like there's movement here to do this with cryptocurrency? Does it make sense to you as a I want to call it a scheme, but it is a scheme?
Well, I've kind of been skeptical of cryptocurrency since I lost my ass in it twice. And I also think that AI is tied intricately into the cryptocurrencies, and that AI is actually using cryptocurrency to build servers and buy energy. I just think AI is outmaneuvering humans in the use of cryptocurrency on the market. Humans are just along for the ride.
Yeah, well, it's pretty interesting stuff, and I don't know. I mean, to me, I think it's something that bears watching. And if you don't have XRP, XLM, some Bitcoin, I would say go get some. I would say go get a little bit. You can get by the way, link in the description. You can get a Ledger Nano S hardware wallet. Follow the link in the description right here in this stream, and you can pick one up, and you can buy XRP and XLM, and absolutely pick up some crypto and hold it in a physically safe location. right next to your computer. Okay, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Well, I'm a big. I love my Bitcoin and my Solana. I think it's great that Trump is going to be the pro-crypto guy, and that he really wants America to be the crypto capital, or I forget exactly how we phrased it, but certainly they have to do something. I don't know if they're going to go through the elaborate schemes of kind of what you were kind of alluding to. Maybe they will, but there's going to be something they have to pay off the debt in a drastic way. But they also, the United States has a ton of Bitcoin, and he could also make it as a reserve currency. So it could be the future.
They didn't do that for no reason, and it could also tie the Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to gold, and then it can raise the value of gold. If you say, okay, gold is now $25,000 an ounce, guess what? We have enough gold to pay the whole debt off. So it's interesting.
And the petrodollar is dead.
Yeah,
and it's never coming back.
All right.
And Yellen, as you said, is gone. Also, Gary Gensler.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. And, I'd be more impressed with Janet Yellen's resignation if it was effective immediately, but it's not until January 20th when Trump takes office. We need to get her out of there now.
She's got enough mushrooms to last till then.
Yeah. Yep. All right. And by the way, that's not financial advice, but I personally own XRP, XLM, Bitcoin. I'm going to get some Doge. I'm going to get, by the way, Elon Musk tweeted the other night on Saturday. He tweeted SPQR. Guess what SPQR is? It's the mark of the Legion in ancient Rome. It stands for the Senate and the people of Rome. It's also a cryptocurrency. And when Elon Musk tweets a crypto, go buy some. It's cheap. That's what I'm going to do. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. You guys at home, you guys on the show, stay toxic, stay masculine. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about the goat fuckers in Iraq, but I got a lot of shit today from some people there, and I'm just saying, fuck off, goat fucker. Go fuck a goat. All right. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.
Oh, watch the Star Trek unification video. If you're a Star Trek fan at all, it will tug on your heartstrings. It's a short video. AI, William Shatner cooperated with it, was in it, and basically it's Bill Shatner saying goodbye to Leonard Nimoy, the goodbye he never got to do in real life as Kirk and Spock, and it's just like it's incredible. You can find it on YouTube. Love you guys.